But with that, let's head on over to our final run, which is Illegally Sam and Rebel Transmute. So take it away.
Hello, everybody. I am Illegally Sam. And yeah, this is Rebel Transmute, as you just heard. I am joined here by my commentator.
Hello, I am Snapcake, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg.
Unfortunately, that is not the game I am playing here today. This is
No!
this is a bit more two-dimensional. Because Rebel Transmute is a 2D Metroidvania. That's why you're seeing it here tonight. And yeah, it's indie 2D Metroidvania. It came out earlier this year, back in March. I actually backed this on Kickstarter, and so did Snapkick.
Nice.
Yeah, back 2 years ago. And then it finally came out, and then we speedran it, and here I am.
Yay.
That's the TLDR. So
Love it.
we'll talk more about the game once we actually get into things, so but might as well just get started. So time will start when I clear this autosave text box. So I'll give a quick countdown. So let's get started in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Good luck.
Yo.
All right, just like every good speedrun, you skip the cutscenes.
Absolutely.
Of course. We hate story.
All right. And so the best part about this game, we're schmoving right away.
There is very little downtime in this game, and some of the best movements given to you right away with that slide jump. That's what you'll see just a lot through the game is slide and jump, because slide gives you a speed burst, and you jump, you conserve it. It gives you a longer jump, faster speed, but at the cost of jump height, so it makes for some really Kino bread and butter movement.
Yep. And also, we're 30 seconds of the run. I've already picked up 2 items. The first item is an augment, which is kind of like the charm system from Hollow Knight, where you can equip augments to do certain things. You only have a certain amount of slots, and you have to go back to these checkpoint stations in order to actually mess around with them. And what that augment does relates to the second item I picked up, which is a spark blood injector. When that little bar underneath my health at the top left there is full, the spark blood injector lets me heal. And the specific augment that I picked up is something that makes it so that I get more spark blood whenever I hit enemies, because normally it takes 6 hits to fill up that little meter, but with that equipped, it only takes 4. So it's a little thing for safety because it just makes it a little easier to heal.
Exactly, and you'll see a lot of mechanics and little things you can draw parallels to other Metroidvanias, especially your Hollow Knights and your likes here, because to me, this game is a Metroidvania fan's Metroidvania. A lot of very basic things on the surface that come together to create a much more intricate mechanical experience, and a lot of fun little hidden details that, like, you have to play a good number of Metroidvanias to have some amount of appreciation for.
Yeah, and it also does have a good number of references in here as well, but we're not exactly going to be seeing all those because that would be slow.
Sadly, we cannot see Samus Aran, literally just Samus Aran standing in a location.
Wait,
we also will
what?
not see Snapkick.
No. We'll see me. We just won't stop and talk to me. Well, the first one of me, not the other one.
Yeah, there's 2 of you.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 of me in this game.
That's fair.
Don't worry. It'll make sense at some point, I promise.
One was because you were fast, one was because you paid money.
What?
Man. Well, you put it like that.
I was about to say, the context, just take whatever context you want on that one.
This game was on Kickstarter. Don't forget.
Yeah, it was a Kickstarter game.
Oh,
and they did a speedrun competition early on during this Kickstarter's life, during which both me and Sam participated, and I was a winner, so I now have 2 NPCs named after me.
Oh my god.
All right, so we did briefly talk to an NPC there. That NPC is a story NPC who we will not be coming back to, and we definitely won't see in any other cutscenes, definitely.
Definitely.
But she was required to open up one of the doors that we walked through. But because we are just moving through all this stuff, we're coming up to the first boss here. If you want to explain what's going on, Snapkick.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the way there, before we even go in, you'll notice a lot of really nice just hops across gaps, slide jump movements, Kino. Now we're coming into Gray Matter. Gray Matter's an interesting boss. It's a 2-phaser. Sam is going to be counting in his head up to about 32. or out loud, whichever works better for you.
20.
And we found I ended up finding a glitch during the demo speed runs that we mentioned before, where if we get this boss's health down to about 32 hits and then wait for it to do a jump attack like that into the left corner exactly, bam, stuck. It just now doesn't do its second phase transition whatsoever. And just stays there. This was something, again, I need to stress, I found this during a demo. I did it in a speed run. I submitted that the dev watched. It stayed in the game.
All right.
And I think that's extremely funny and cool of the dev, Evan Tor.
Yeah, there was two main like speedrun glitch tech type things that we found during the demo. That was one of them, and the other is something that I found, which is like a small bit of tech where when you fall from really high heights, your character gets like landing lag because you fell from so high up. But if you were to slide the moment you hit the ground, you can actually cancel that lag, which used to be a lot glitchier. Now it looks a lot more intended because it was, again, it was kept in from the demo.
And I believe you also found recently too that if you shoot about that same timing, it cancels, right?
Yes, so you can cancel with both the slide and by shooting your gun, but at the time we only knew about it with the slide. And they also work slightly differently, where if you do it with the slide, it actually kind of messes with your movement because you can't slide again, so you have to walk. But if you cancel it with your gun, you actually just get full movement back immediately. All right,
so before we get into this next big trick here, I just wanted to catch some people up. After we killed that boss, we went in that flower, gave us our first transmutation, which is our major upgrades, which lets us destroy those purple blocks. Oh my God, you did it first try. You take that one.
Yeah, so that was Quarry Skip. What I did was I did some weird D-pad shenanigans where I held basically a down left angle, so I was crouching and then jumped into the corner in a really weird way, so that for some reason, if you do that and then slide, it just gives you super speed. I don't know why. It just does.
Found by Scorned Lily there in chat, who has actually done a good amount of glitch hunting and strat finding for us. Also I believe the world record holder for Vernal Edge, as I recall. Yeah. So we have even though really there's only 3 people, mostly Sam, who's run the game, we have a couple people, such as Lily on the side, who's just found really awesome stuff like that.
I just like the fact this skip is pretty much summed up by D-pad shenanigans.
That's the best way I can describe it. I literally don't have a better way to describe it without like talking for like 5 minutes straight about it.
Fair.
Just trust me, bro. Trust me, it works.
Yep.
All right, but this is the next boss. He just kind of jumps around a bunch. The way this boss works is he has 2 attack patterns where he has his normal attack pattern and then he has his rage attack pattern where if you get enough hits on him, he isn't in his normal attack pattern anymore and he has those red particles around him. So he does this rage attack pattern. His rage attack pattern is just he jumps around and shoots those shockwaves at you, which is really easy to avoid and damage him during. And so we basically just have him in his rage the entire fight because it's really easy to damage him during it. And because we hit him so much during every other part of the fight, he never gets to do any normal attacks.
Yeah, this is a really gratifying boss to get good at because it's not even necessarily like there's any particular crazy out there tricks. It's just being good with the mechanics as they are, which, to speak briefly on that, you'll notice the attack is like, it looks like a gun, but it's a very short range beam. And whenever you hit an enemy, there's like a little bit of knockback from that. And something that a lot of people are kind of mixed on, but personally, I always like it. I think it feels really good. And that boss is like a really good presentation. Just like, you can just style on bosses once you know how to deal with them.
Yeah, it takes getting used to, but once you know what you're doing, the combat is very satisfying. Also, now we have an air dash.
Yeah.
It's an air dash.
That's mostly it.
Yeah, there's nothing too crazy about this ability because it's exactly what it sounds like. But that's why we had to do Quarry Skip, because that gap was supposed to be like you can't cross this yet because you don't have an air dash ability. So you have to like go around to the entire area. But yeah, we didn't listen.
Yeah, fair.
Wait, sorry, missing the instruction.
All right, I'm making a slight detour here to pick up an extra battery because there are a few augments I will be picking up, and I need that extra slot in order to equip all of them. Because there are a bunch of batteries all throughout the map that, you know, let you equip extra augments.
We use a very specific set of augments that you'll see pretty soon, basically after like the next 2 major bosses. And there's a lot of really interesting augments in this game. Some of them are pretty basic. Some of them are like, get more spark blood on hit. Some of them kind of wildly change your moveset and some interactions. I always say I like to think that Evan was just a really big fan of Metroidvania speedruns when making these augments, because some of them are just like really wacky and overpowered, but like it's fun. It's really fun, and putting your own style together with them is really, again, just gratifying to do.
Yeah, unfortunately, you won't get to see many of them, but you will see a couple.
Yeah. All the more reason to go play yourself.
Yes. This game is on all major platforms and Steam.
Yeah, and you're
all
playing
major consoles.
On, Xbox, right?
Yes. I am that weird guy who plays multi-platform games on Xbox.
I mean, you're talking
really
to someone that does that except for PS5, so...
Fair enough.
Mood. Yeah, I was about
Surrounded
to
by
say...
weirdos.
Hey.
I kid.
Just remember, you are not just surrounded, that means you're outnumbered. But so yeah, any particular differences between the console and the PC versions? They pretty much played out the same.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same, except for basically when patches were coming out regularly in the game's launch. It was, they were coming out on PC slightly before console. That was really the only main difference.
Which is, pretty regular for that type of thing.
Yeah, but because we are able to run the game on current patch, because that is the fastest version of the game, we don't have to worry about down patching or anything.
Nice.
Sam, you are scaring me.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to get to this area here because I can farm spark blood off these dudes and restore some health.
There you go. Okay, just don't get really pulley-oly, I beg of you.
Don't worry, it's not going to happen this time.
So is Commentator's Curse going to kick in first, or is Runner's Curse going to kick in first?
Whichever one of us has more malice, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
All right, so we're making a brief detour here to activate this fast travel station. We will need to come back to this area at one point at the very end of the run, basically. And so we activate that now so we can come back quickly. But yeah, you won't be seeing us use that for like another 30 minutes. All right, the best time to heal in this game is basically any time you're waiting for something else to happen. And specifically, the best time to heal is using something that I call a heal cancel, where basically if you enter a loading zone and heal at the same time, you actually heal during the load between rooms. And so you overlap the heal animation with that room transition, and it just, saves you some time. All right, here's the next boss. Phase 1 is the most interesting boss fight in the entire game.
How do you feel about pogo sticks? Me personally, pretty big fan.
I'm quickly becoming a pretty big fan right now.
As you should be. Look at this riveting gameplay. And unfortunate. Oh, lucky spawn with the bug.
Yeah, I unfortunately took a bit of damage, so I'm going to heal to be safe. But this is the sniper moth. You'll see why he's called the sniper moth. Pretty quick.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't actually remember the real names of like half the bosses, so I just called them something else.
Revolver moth a lot.
Yes.
Very intensive fight is from a speedrun perspective, because it's pretty tight, but you can 2 or 3 cycle this fight. It generally stays down on the ground for a set amount of time, so you really have to pound away on it quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, there's a lot more to this boss fight than it looks, because it is kind of even possible to one-cycle it, but also kind of not, and it's actually bad if you accidentally do it because it loses you time.
So,
but thankfully I got a clean 2 cycle, so it doesn't really matter.
So I'm a horrible person, and since you mentioned Revolver Moth a lot, I'll have to say, so while you're playing that, do you look at that fight and go, what a thrill?
With darkness and silence through the night. If I'm having a really bad run, it's more like the only thing I know for real.
Also, this game has the best mechanic that any Metroidvania can have, a force respawn. Where you just intentionally die.
literally just a force respawn button in the main menu. It is used for exactly what you think it's for. It is a teleport.
That is kind of ingenious.
It's great as a like debug feature. Awesome. Like, especially even as a casual feature, if you're going somewhere and you're like, I'm lost a million miles away from the last save and I can't find something, or I can't be bothered to just smash my head against an enemy, bam, force respawn. You were gonna do it anyways if you wanted to. May as well make it easy.
Yeah,
Speedrun, though.
To talk about how death works in this game a little bit, if you die, you go back to the last checkpoint that you used. And so obviously we use specific checkpoints to cut down on backtracking. But it also works in a way where if you die, you lose one of your health. And you have to go back to where you died in order to pick that health back up, so that you would only have 3 max health if you don't do that. But you can also spend 50 money at a checkpoint to just get it back instantly. And that's what I did there. That's one of the 2 reasons why I've been collecting money this entire time. But the other reason is I'll be getting a damage upgrade later, which is the main reason I've been getting money, and I can't get enough money to do that if I don't also pay to get my health cores back, so that is why I do both. But
yeah, it's a nice. It's definitely one of those things that isn't like in theory entirely necessary for the run, but it literally just ups your damage. So as far as we're concerned, it feels like it's super worth going for.
All right, these guys are being a little annoying and get in the way. Also, we didn't mention it, but that last boss gave us a bomb.
Oh yeah.
Kind of forgot to mention that.
So the bomb's a little more interesting at the very least because, yeah, you know, it breaks open some blocks that didn't break before. It does damage. It also propels you in kind of a video gamey way you think it would. So on top of being, you know, just a way to easily increase your damage by just throwing it at enemies as you fight them, you can straight up use it as propulsion. And as you'll see later on, we have optimized this.
Yeah, but the bomb is incredibly useful during this fight because this guy just likes not being in range, and the bomb kind of just shoots all the way across the screen and beyond. So it's really easy to hit this guy with the bomb, even when it's not easy to hit him with anything else.
Yeah, when the guy goes like bright blue like that, all of your hits knock him about like crazy. So that short range gun starts to be feeling a little stubby here without the bomb.
Yeah, so you basically, if you do enough damage, you like get certain attack patterns, and after doing enough damage, he turns dark blue like that. You want him to just stay dark blue the entire fight once you get him to turn the first time, like that.
Yeah.
That boss fight is very difficult to do quickly, so I'm glad that went well.
Yeah, that was really good, GG.
But as a reward for beating that boss, we get even more movement. Because we weren't schmoving enough.
Oh, clearly not.
Not nearly enough. Now, you seen Bread and Butter. Who's ready for Bread and Butter Part 2?
Electric Boogaloo.
Because now we can do this.
Yeet.
Oh, jeez.
So, you'll probably see it used a little bit here, like right off the top of that enemy. That bounce doesn't normally go that high. You can kind of see how high the bounce goes when he bounces off those enemies. That's normal. However, it's been found that if you press a jump input at like a very specific time after starting a jump, like super tight input, you just get sent sky high. Just a free super bounce right there. Additionally, for a more intended mechanic, you can bounce off of bombs that you've placed on the ground, on enemies, on the wall, to also send you higher. That's the intended, like, secret mechanic that the game never tells you about. It also isn't ever necessary, but it's just like a really cool thing and super, super useful. So imagine our glee when we put 2 and 2 together. You'll see where that goes.
All right, I got some. I got roly-poly-olied a little bit there.
No. Oh, very scary time to have low health too. This next room is fun.
Yeah, I don't like going into this room with any less than 3 health. It usually goes fine, and I don't need all that health, but there's no point in playing it risky.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so here's going to be an example of using bomb and super jump in conjunction just a little bit. and we can just fly up to the top left of that room there and get our first major augment.
Yes, this is the nomadic compressor. This gives us a double jump. I think that's pretty self-explanatory why a double jump is good.
Yeah, a little more like a hover than a straight double jump, but yeah,
Oops.
it's extremely useful.
Yeah, it's not a full second jump, but for all intents and purposes, it is just a second jump.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And also, something you might not have noticed because I did it very quickly, in that last menu, I also unequipped an augment that you start with, which is the augment that makes it so you drop health cores when you die. So the way this game works is you start off with 4 augments that are kind of your basic abilities, where one is your ability to see yourself on the map, one of them is your ability to see your HUD, one of them is your ability to heal, and one of them is your ability to drop health cores when you die. You can unequip them at any point to get a little bit of extra space for your augments, but you lose that basic ability. But because we don't need money from this point out from the rest of the run, because we're about to get our upgrade, now when we die, instead of dropping a health core, we just lose half of our money instead. And since we don't need our money, you know, we can use that extra quarter of an augment slot.
Right there, Sam just killed that big bug that was glowing with a green outline to open the door. That also had a green outline for the next major augment we use, the Wave Blaster.
Yeah, so the Wave Blaster is one of the 2 things we get for extra damage, where the Wave Blaster is basically, we have our little one shot that we fire. Once we equip it, we're going to have an entire cone. And that entire cone, each of the shots in that cone does, outside of the original shot, they all do an extra quarter of your blaster damage. And so if you hit with everything, you basically do twice as much damage now. And each of those shots also gives you spark blood.
Yeah, on top of that, too, it's literally just expanded range. So if somebody's like just outside of your range, you can still hit them. Won't be quite as much, but you're still, you know, hitting them at all, which is better than nothing.
Yeah, and if you hit an enemy with basically the entire cone, you just instantly get all your spark blood. Because you're hitting, because it takes 4 hits to fill the meter, and you're hitting them with more than 4 hits. All
I
right.
like those odds.
Brief little story detour. We have to go pick up an AI real quick to actually complete the game. So we picked up an AI called Quirk right there. So the actual objective in order to finish an 80% run of this game is there's 3 subsystems around the map that we have to reactivate. And this whole time we've just been collecting abilities so that we can actually get to all of them. But Quirk right there is the one actually hard required thing to activate the subsystems, because you can't interact with the terminals until you have her.
Huh.
So that is why we have to come here in order to actually progress the story.
Exactly. I'll note that we probably won't really mention the story very much because it's very minimal. It's not really much more than, here's why you're here, here's where you're going. Okay, off you go. Which, for this game, I'm kind of perfectly cool with, because this is a game that's really fun to like explore and figure out and just like mechanically play. But yeah, that's like your basic thing is pick up, do the first section of the game, pick up Quirk, okay, go do any of the next 3 sections, whatever order you want. Sadly, the order we start with is the mines.
Yes, this is the worst part of the run because it's the hardest part of the run. It's not actually a bad section, it's just the hardest part of the run. This is where most runs die.
Yeah, on top of just being like a really tricky section to navigate, the particular trick upcoming is RNG followed by maybe not super precise, but very precise execution.
Yes.
It starts with these blue guys.
So these blue guys, they just teleport around randomly. They fire these shots randomly. And this switch behind the wall right here, they can hit it. And so we need them to hit it. Because if they don't hit it, we can't get through this door early.
Because that is the backside of the level. But we don't want to go through the whole level. That would take forever.
Oh, come on. How did that guy not hit him? Okay.
In an earlier build of the game,
There we go.
Nice. We could actually just like very tightly wedge a bomb into that corner and have it hit the switch, but that no longer works. So thankfully we have them as a backup. Now for the execution part.
Yeah, so this is mine skip. The gist of mine skip is we're using double jump, bomb, and the dash to make it through a section we're supposed to have a wall climb for. And the reason why this works is since the bomb launches you up, we can basically use that combined with the double jump to just get a lot of upward propulsion. And we can time the bomb using the pause, because the bomb timer still ticks up while the game is paused. And so you can use that to unpause at a specific time so the bomb just instantly goes off.
Yeah, previously we didn't know that the bomb timer count down during pause, so we had to just do it on instinct. And that was very, very brutal.
There's also an augment that lets you manually detonate the bomb that we used.
Right.
So we didn't have to just time it manually, thankfully. But it was still very difficult while using that because, for one, getting the extra augment is slow, but also it made it a lot harder. Honestly, this med's a lot easier because it's a lot easier to time a pause than it is to time a detonation that has like a slight delay.
Yeah, for how like young this game is relatively, it's crazy how much that one trick has gone through iterations.
Yeah, so this is the next boss. It's just a giant drill. There's nothing too crazy going on here.
No heavens being pierced.
But yeah, this phase 2 is just, it's jumping around in the lava. Pretty easy phase. That boss is not that hard when you have all of the damage upgrades and stuff that we have, but back when I was first learning the run, and I was like, oh, how hard is this without Wave Blaster? That boss fight took me like 15 minutes because I kept dying to it. So Wave Blaster makes that boss much more trivial.
Because that boss is a really good demonstration of like it existing in spaces around your general gun radius, but not directly in front of you. So Wave Blaster actually lets you hit it.
All right. And then also after defeating him, we got the wall climb. This is what we were supposed to use to go through that one room. Because that one room is supposed to be like the back route and you're supposed to have climb. But now we actually have climb, so we can continue through the mines to the next boss.
Yeah.
Because this is the area that has 2 bosses that are both story required. One is because of an ability, one of them is just hard story required because of other progression stuff. Because there's a bunch of locked doors around the map that you have to open in order to make it to the story areas. And the only way to open those doors is to fight this next boss. But this next boss is up this giant vertical shaft, so we're just going to be climbing up this giant tower. But we mentioned combining the super bounce and the bomb bounce, and that was what that turns into, a super bomb bounce.
This is where all of that vertical climb tech really comes into play and just absolutely dunks on what is otherwise an extremely hard level to get through.
Yeah, this section is unironically really, really difficult to platform through. And if it wasn't for all of the movement tech that we have, it would be even harder. All right, but this is the next boss. This is Cerebellum. It's a giant floating brain in a jar. It's actually a head. It's not just a brain, but it is still a giant floating head.
It's a Beyblade.
Not until phase 2.
Right. Sorry. Right now it's also Revolver Ocelot.
Now I'm just picturing Ocelot's head on a Beyblade.
You spin pretty good.
You know Ocelot would play Beyblade. With how
Who's to say he didn't?
he spins his revolvers. Anything that spins, he's like, I'm in.
Yeah, this boss is not the hardest boss in the game, but it is very, very difficult to do this boss quickly. Because it just keeps floating around the arena, and you have to chase after it a whole bunch. And if you chase after it too aggressively, well, you'll just keep getting hit.
It's a really fine balance, just a very, very floaty movement, very random movement. And if it decides to go to the lower parts, now it's a Beyblade. If it goes to the lower parts, you really just kind of have to decide, do I want to chase it or I want to just wait till I can hit it safely?
Yeah, and it's like during the attack where it's like shooting a bunch of shots at you with all those targets, it's like you can choose to like chase after it and try and do damage, or you just safely dodge everything. But thankfully, once you defeat it, you can just instantly force respawn because it opens the doors automatically on death. You don't actually have to like go to a terminal, you don't have to get an upgrade or anything, it just does it immediately. And this is why I got this checkpoint specifically, is because it lets us, it's a good central point for the entire mines for the rest of this section here. But this next section we are not meant to do with our current ability set.
Not at all, but it's super cool without.
Yes, because we are supposed to have the super dash in order to get past here. So kind of like the crystal dash in Hollow Knight. That's the best way for me to describe it. Like this section here, we're supposed to like use it to get past this area here, but instead we can just bounce off this guy by waiting until he's in place. All right, this guy followed me all the way around. He's never done that before. This is why I usually kill him, is because he's really annoying and those balls do 2 damage if I get hit by them.
It's like the only thing in the game that does 2 damage for some reason.
Yeah, but that enemy that I bounced off of, he can start immediately in position, or he can start going to the right, and you just gotta wait for him to get in position, which is what happened there. But thankfully, once he's in position, you can just go under that area, and you don't need super bounce, or the super dash.
Yeah.
All right, but this is the... Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, it's just really clever use of wall climb and dashes to get across what obviously is supposed to be like a super dashed area.
Yeah. And this is where the double jump also comes in handy, because it just lets you make even more gaps that you're not supposed to. All right, but this is the...
We're supposed to use 3 switches within short succession.
Yeah, this is the first subsystem, and this is the gimmick that all of the subsystems have, where you're supposed to hit a bunch of switches, and they all have to be active at the same time. They're not too difficult if you know what you're doing, and especially with all the movement that we have, but they're not free either when you're playing casually. Also, you might have noticed that little weird shaped room right to the right of the terminal. You know, it kind of looked like I was supposed to fight some stuff there, but there's no enemies.
Like an arena of some kind?
Yeah, I wonder what would have happened if I had gone back through it after activating the terminal. I guess we'll never know, though.
We'll never know.
Yeah, all of the subsystems have those rooms where on the way out they're like ambush fights where you're supposed to do a wave fight afterwards. But by force respawning back to the last checkpoint, you just skip them entirely and you don't have to do them. All right, but now we get to leave the mines. We're finally done.
Hooray.
Honestly, it went really well. I'm pretty happy with that mines.
Yeah, no, that was extremely good. Mines can be like a difference of 5 minutes at the very least based on how poorly it decides to go.
Yeah, I can hear the love in your voice, Snap, when you talk about the mines. The absolute love.
For reference, I have the world record in this category at 45:51. And in that PB, I lost almost 2 minutes to mine skip because of RNG and bad execution.
It's that bad.
Oh my gosh.
Because if you take too much damage, you have to go out of your way to get a checkpoint, which loses you 30 seconds in addition to everything else.
And it brings up a good point that there are like other checkpoints to go for throughout the run based on safety and preference, which I really, really enjoy. I like when runs give you sort of an option to either throw it all to the wall and see what happens, or to take it safe and play to what you feel is best for you. Also, we're gonna see myself here in a second.
Ooh.
Hold on. I'm a bit delayed on my end.
Yep, we're not talking to him though, because that's slow. We're just running straight past him.
Oh.
Hi. Oh.
There's so much shade right there.
I see how it is.
You just should have had an upgrade or something that made it go faster.
I should have paid more money.
Snap, just make a snap kick %.
True.
Yeah, where you have to talk to both snap kicks.
I am the board admin. I could do that.
Oh no.
All right, so this checkpoint I grabbed here is the central location for the rest of the run. This is the last checkpoint we're going to be grabbing outside of a safety checkpoint before the final boss. This is where we're going to be coming back to on every force respawn from here on out, because this is the best place to go from for every other spot in the run that we're going to.
Makes a really convenient central hub, because on top of just having the checkpoint there's one of those teleport stations that we picked up earlier nearby, and the tram itself with the open door is a different teleport station. Ooh, unfortunate.
Yeah. Let me just heal to be safe. Thankfully, this next room has a bunch of weak enemies that I can get my spark blood back on if I need to. All right. And then giant tunnel, so we can just fall down using bounce, because bounce falls faster than normal movement. Also, this little switch here, we're not supposed to hit it, but the bomb can hit it through the wall, so you can just go here early.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, because the intended route through this water area is there's a terminal to the right somewhere, and what that terminal does is it opens a few valves, and then those valves like cover up pipe entrances, and you're supposed to open up those valves, go through those pipes, and that's how you're supposed to go through this area. And this route we're taking is like a back way that you're supposed to do like after you do all of that, essentially. But by hitting that switch early, we don't actually need to open any of those valves because this path is just open.
This is one of those games where if you stop and ask yourself, like, wait, why wouldn't this work? You're generally going to be rewarded more often than not. It's very nice.
But we got one more wave fight because of that's just what is on this path. We got to deal with these guys.
The horrid tongue dogs.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what they are, but they're not fun.
Dislike them greatly.
Thankfully, they are not the hardest things to kill. All right, but I did mention this is the water area, and I'm not, like, that wasn't an exaggeration. This is actually the water area. This is the basin. And because of that, we're going to go fight a boss to go get the ability to swim. Because we need it in order to actually make it through the next couple sections.
That's fair.
We need to teach the character Moon how to do a doggy paddle. She'll drown otherwise.
The suit's heavy.
Right?
It's pretty heavy.
All right, this is the easiest boss in the game. This is the Barathrum, or just the fish boss, as we call him.
Fish.
Yeah, so he attacks you, and then he leaves the screen, and he leaves the screen for long enough in between every attack that you can heal. So when I say this is the easiest boss, it's because you are always able to heal. You're at basically no risk of dying, as long as you don't make any mistakes that are, like, really dumb.
It's extremely funny because if you engage with this boss on, like, you know, the way you think you would, trying to dodge platform to platform, move out of your way, you're making it harder. Just stand there. Just stand there and take it. You're good.
Yeah, and with the damage upgrades that we have, he also does not have a lot of health. He goes down extremely quickly. All right, but now we have the ability to swim. I'm just going to heal because I can. Also, I like the movement in this room because normally when you enter a room in water, you go really slowly. But if we do it while bouncing, we just zoom through that down room. Yeah. All right. So this room has these platforms like coming in and out on a cycle. And in order to do that, we have to get through this tunnel here. So thankfully I made the cycle. If I was a little too slow, I would have had to wait for them a full cycle for them coming in and out. And also, the way swimming works in this game is you turn into a drill.
Just think of that Sonic Colors dealing drill every time you hear it.
Yeah, so it's essentially just an underwater dash that can also damage enemies. But a little bit of tech with it is if you press the A button to like do the normal swim jump, like before we had the ability to swim, it resets the dash. And so if you just hold the A button, it'll just continually do those and then reset the dash. And if you mash the trigger to dash underwater, you can just do it over and over again. And you don't actually have to worry about the cooldown.
Yeah, because there's usually like about a second-ish cooldown between each drill, and that just completely negates it.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about that subsystem room right there we just did. Previously, there used to be these pink crystals in the way of the buttons, and people just didn't know how to get rid of them. And I'll admit, neither did I until I was told, because getting the swim upgrade actually gives you a slight bonus where if you fall into water or just enter water very quickly, you enter sort of a shine spark state. And it lets you go really fast, but as soon as you stop moving or like you land on the ground for a few different actions, you lose it. But if you touch the pink crystals during that shine spark state, it would break the crystals. This was admittedly not self-evident whatsoever, so sadly removed from there, despite once I knew what it was really cool to do. But you'll maybe see them. There's still a few remaining throughout the game.
Yeah, there's a few that you need for like optional challenges and like certain collectibles, but you don't ever need them for story progression, which I think is probably the right way to do it at the end of the day.
I think it was explained a little better, would have been fine, but yeah, there's a few other sort of secret tech options that are needed, debatably, for side objectives. So stuff like that I really, really adore. Specifically, there's one with the dash, the super dash, crystal dash type of thing that I won't spoil, but it's really cool and it felt so cool to find.
All right, so this is the labs. We're making a slight detour because the third subsystem is not actually here, but in that cutscene we skipped, when we activated the second subsystem, Quirk actually left. And so we need to find a way to activate the last subsystem without her, which is why we're here.
Also, this room is
That room is very
so
annoying.
nerve-wracking. Those attacks lock onto you hard.
Fun fact, in the day one version of the game was bugged, so you didn't actually have to come here. And you could just go straight to the third subsystem without coming here at all. And it kind of broke the story because you didn't have any idea what was happening. But coming here, we just got to do this little platforming room. We can just skip it using a super bomb bounce.
Nice.
There's supposed to be a bunch of like invisible platforms that appear only when you get near them, and you do a whole roundabout way of getting there. But nah, we got wings.
All right, but now that we went and sat down in a chair, we can go do the last subsystem. So this is why I got the fast travel station, is because the last subsystem we can get to from the overgrowth, and the fastest way to get there is using this fast travel station. Because this last subsystem is in the area where we're supposed to get the super dash. But because, we're not going to do that, we don't actually have to fight any bosses here. We can just go finish the area, making it the quickest subsystem by far.
Also another subsystem where like this entire area up here is where you're supposed to get the super dash. And it's, you can maybe see that in a few areas, like, oh, I can see how you're meant to be able just to dash in a straight line here, but nah, we got schmoovin' for that.
Yeah, even casually, I didn't know you're supposed to have the super dash here just yet, so I did do this entire platforming section casually without it.
And it's very funny. I've heard a lot of people who play this game say that, like, yeah, I started going ahead and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to, but I could. Some people like that, some people don't, but I find that to be incredibly interesting and funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd
I mean,
be
I think
chuckling. Seriously.
I think that's just a good thing with Metroidvanias in general. It's like, can I do this? I don't think I should be, but I can.
Exactly.
I mean, looking at just the tome of tricks that just Super Metroid alone has, that's pretty much what happened for a lot of those being found. Of just, let's just see.
Oh, let's just find out.
And I got the double terminal cutscene glitch where, for some reason, it just plays that cutscene twice and you have to skip it twice.
It's a very important cutscene.
All right, so now that we don't have Quirk, we have to reactivate the subsystem ourselves, so we're in the system. And in order to do it, we have to kill 3 enemies and it'll let us get up to the final portal. Or we could just do this.
Oh my god.
Because the portal's always open, it's just there's no platforms to get to it.
Yeah.
And then it gives us another little platforming section. We can just force respawn out of it. We don't have to do it. And we can go to the final boss now.
I see your second platforming section. How about instead I force respawn? Bye.
God, I love that.
All right, well, we can use the subway system here to get there faster. Because like I said, we are going directly to the final boss. There is nothing else to do for this run except get through this one room, because that room is actually a little annoying. And I will be grabbing the safety checkpoint here, just in case I mess up the final boss.
Yeah, this final boss is not a joke.
Yeah. Normally during PB attempts, obviously, it's if I die to the final boss, the run's dead anyway, so who needs the checkpoint? But this is not a PB attempt. So we're going to grab it for safety.
Well, when I first casually played this game, I only was able to beat this boss using a unintended one-hit kill glitch that I found that complete random. It took me until I was doing runs to actually learn how to beat the boss. It is tough.
All right, so this is the final boss. This is Hive.
Funny little blobby guy.
Yeah, so he teleports around a bunch. He has a few attacks. Some of them are annoying. And yeah, this phase 1 is just, he's going to be teleporting around a bunch and doing a whole bunch of attacks, so I just got to get damage in whenever I can.
He's also a fan of the Beyblade.
I noticed. So in this point in the story, would Revolver Ocelot be Liquid Ocelot at that point?
I've only played MGS1. I'm gonna be real with you.
Oh man, you're
I
missing.
don't know.
We'll just say yes.
I know I am. But yeah, definitely not. And Raiden is fighting Senator Armstrong. I have played Rising though.
There you go. I'm proud.
Okay. Don't have full health, but that'll be okay. So now we get to move on to the second phase. It turns into Patrick from Goofy Goober Rock at the end of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie and grows a giant legs.
Giant pair of meaty legs, or as I like to see it, the checkered piece from Deltarune.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so this phase is simultaneously easier and harder than phase 1 because it's easier to do quickly, but it's harder to do in general because you have basically one attack you can heal during. So if you take damage, you just have to be careful.
Yeah, like, once you know the attacks, they're super, super easy to read. If he does a jump, he's gonna use those big thighs God gave him to slide at you. If he comes from above, he's gonna slam down. Like, it's pretty consistent what he does. It's just so much going on and so fast with so little room for error.
Yeah, and until you know those patterns, obviously, you're not going to be reading them too quickly. But he has a desperation move here that is actually really good for us because we can just wail on him during it.
The desperation move ends up being actually probably the easiest
And he's
part.
dead. Time is after I skip the final cutscene, so time will be now.
GG's.
GG.
How was that? Blazing time, straight up.
What was that? 45:09, I think I caught. So we
Something
use
like that.
in-game time.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but it did have that timer at the top there the entire game because this game has an in-game speedrun timer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a really, really good and accurate timer, so we use it for the leaderboards. And yeah, the one thing about validating runs is that we do have to get through the entire credits and re-enter the file to see the final time. So I will be doing that
Please do.
because
I think you might be happy with the time.
that was world record
That was a world record.
Wait, what?
That was a world record.
by
No joke.
about 40 seconds.
I had to pull up SRC to double check he actually just hit world record.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, look, there's my
Actually,
name.
yeah.
There's my name in the credits.
Your IGT matched the RTA. Okay. All right. Let's go.
It's that easy. Sam's that good. My man.
I did mention earlier, I did lose 2 minutes of my PB to mind skip, so
And see,
there was a good amount of time saved.
the ultimate thing is that all of this world record is because we didn't talk to Snap.
It's true. Honestly,
So
actually,
disappointed. I'm not validating this run anymore. I'm sorry.
I think I actually had enough time where I would have still had world record even if I had talked to him. But it's
Exactly.
but it's funnier this
Ooh.
way. All right, let's load back into the file. Final time was 45:10 seconds, 0.15.
Oh my lord! For reference,
Ooh.
previous record was
45,
45 minutes
51.
51 seconds.
That's why I was like, yeah, the fact that your RTA on this was faster than your IGT world record on the board. Wow.
Yeah. Nah, you mentioned you lost 2 minutes to mind skip. You probably still lost like what 20 to 30 seconds there, but
Yeah.
you got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
the
Still
enemies
way
were
quicker.
not as nice as they could have been. I've had better, but they were nice enough. Because
That's insane.
That was
I've-
amazing.
I've legitimately lost like 2 minutes to RNG on mind skip before, so thankfully that did not happen.
Well, GG's. Heck yeah, world record. And yeah, chat's loving it already because, yeah, it's just awesome. Really quickly, where can they find you? What are you doing right now? Well, I mean, like not right now, but later.
You can find me over on my Twitch page, twitch.tv/illegallysam. I was probably going to try and get sub 45 in this game because I had a run about a week and a half ago that was 2 minutes ahead, going into the final boss, and then I died.
Oh no.
So, needless to say, I can improve this even further. Even though this is, I don't know if a sub 45 is even going to be as hype as getting it live here, but the time can go lower. So I probably will at least grind this a little bit. So that
Definitely
is
check
on
that
the immediate near future for me.
Awesome. And then Snap, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/snapcake. I've been streaming rather regularly lately. I do largely casual stuff. I stream a lot of Digimon games, and I stream been doing GameCube retro achievements. Sometimes I speedrun this, sometimes I speedrun Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Yeah.
I love the combination of this and Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. That's chef's kiss.
Crazy how the world comes together to find two extremely Kino movement games.
I love it.
And if anybody is interested in picking this game up casually or as a speedrun, I mentioned it earlier, but this is available on all major consoles and PC. And we do have a speedrun Discord that is linked on our SRC page. So if you want to give this game a shot, feel free to join there, reach out to us. We're happy to have you.
Definitely happy to have you. Happy to help. There's already a handful of pretty good resources out there. Not many people running the game, but competition already is pretty tight, as you can see. This is such a cool run to pick up. If you've ever wanted to run a Metroidvania, this is my first Metroidvania speedrun. So
Nice.
Yeah, this is
if I
my
can do that, you can do that.
this is my first serious Metroidvania speedrun. I've dabbled in a few others, but haven't taken them too seriously.
And it just looks so fun and amazing. So again, GG's on that world record. That was absolutely wild. Chat, give GG's one more time to Sam and Snap here. That was so cool.